Hi, my name is Łukasz Lanka.
Hi, my name is Pablo Galindo.
And this is the Core PY podcast, a podcast where we discuss internals of CPython and our adventures in making a new version of your favorite programming language.
Now live.
Yes, I'm not sure how we're going to do this because 30 minutes is like half of our shortest episode. Last time we were actually talking more about readline than this entire episode is going to be. So yeah, we'll see how we go. The plan for today is to talk a bit about what we did at the Language Summit, raise awareness about the fact that there's Python 3.13 beta now and you should test it, and let you ask some questions to us.
Awesome. So what do you want to start talking about in Language Summit?
Well, so first of all, we don't want to do like a full summary of that. This is going to be written up by Seth Larsen on the Python blog. But we thought, there were a few interesting things that you might not know about. So we're just going to let you know. For example, Python 3.13 is old news now. We moved on to work on Python 3.14. And we got a new release manager to do this. It's Hugo, who sits right here. So yeah, we get a new release manager. I'm going to be like half a release manager in October since Python 3.8 goes end of life. So yeah, the circle of life.
Does this mean that I'm 3/4 of a release manager?
No, yes, you're still like 3/4 because 3.10 is now.
It's kind of a weird moment, right? Like because there is a moment when we start only releasing security-only releases, right? Because there is the bug fixes and that goes with docs and stuff. But the security-only releases is like too easy. Like, here's some source. Good luck with that.
We always done it like this. This predates me, so I think this was done from the medieval times. However, some things are getting improved. Like Thomas decided that the PEP 602 release cadence that I kind of spearheaded is not exactly perfect. So he made a change where starting with 3.13, there's going to be 2 full years of bug fix releases, and then another 3 years of those security releases that are source only.
Right. The security, I was feeling super lonely, and I wanted a bit more of a release manager experience, so he accommodated that.
I don't know. Like it's up to him. Like as long as I don't have to go back to releasing bug fix releases, I'm fine with that. But I'm joking because in fact I am helping with the Windows installers and hopefully with the macOS installers too. So I'm still involved in all of them anyway.
Awesome. So actually this is an interesting first segue to our first point because Hugo is the person who had the first talk at the Language Summit talking about potentially moving Python to something else.
Yes, because Hugo hates Py and he decided, how about we don't call...
The number Py, not the dessert, right?
I was intentionally ambiguous. So how about we don't release Python 3.14, 3.15, 3.16, but move on to calendar versioning, right? That was Hugo's idea, where instead of just having like an arbitrary number 14, it would be a number like 25, right? So we know which year that release is in. The interesting kind of feature of this then is that we know that you only need to add +5 to know when the end of life comes for that particular version. Now you need to look into the release schedule to actually figure this out. So it would simplify things a bit, but obviously it's a bike shedding moment, so...
Well, the other thing is that you skip over Python 4, right? Because you go from Python 3.13 to Python 25.
Yeah, so there were 2 options. We could either stick to 3.26, 27, and so on, or just altogether say Python 25, which, So there's multiple problems with that, right? Like, first of all, if...
Man, all the scripts of people that are checking if Python 3... No, it's 25.
Yeah, so 2 issues there. Like if they are checking a string and they're just checking, like if the first digit is 2, like that would obviously not work until 2030. So we need to wait another 5 years for this, I guess. But then we also realized, there's a command line utility that you run all the time, Python 3. So what would it be now? Like Python 25? That's kind of weird. Yeah, so, obviously with bike shedding, this will never get resolved. So, unless Hugo really pushes for it hard, I don't know what's going to happen.
He has the power now.
Yes,
You have the power.
Exactly right. Right, but this was a very, gentle introduction to actual controversies because the controversy is about...
Yes, that's where we're here.
Yes, about this special programming language that we are using to write CPython. What is that programming language?
The
illegal language.
Yes, C, illegal language. So obviously, our friend Victor Stinner likes to say that in Python there's this thing called the C API. He always says
he just repeats this thing on every. You see, this guy's good at it.
It's funny as it's true.
He keeps repeating this thing on every year, but this year he was too conscious and he skipped over
Yes,
it.
I don't know.
He told me about it. It's like, Pablo, I'm not going to do it. Like, but Victor, why not?
But also, like when we were doing the schedule for the Python for the language summit, we kind of made it harder for him because he came second as the second CAPI talk. So we already knew what the CAPI was because Peter started the talks first.
Right.
And that talk was interesting because he was like, many people don't like type annotations in Python. So how about we also put type annotations in C? How about that? But actually, the reason he wants them there is interesting, so that there are plenty of kind of attributes that we understand as CPython developers about some PyObject star. For example, this one cannot be null. If this is null, then the entire API will blow up. But in C, there's no way to say this. So what Peter is now spearheading is to actually introduce annotations in header files such that we will actually know about all those things. And I just noted here a few of those, like py non-null, null in error, or new ref, or borrowed, which means, oh, this is a borrowed reference, and so on. So that would be very interesting, not only for documentation purposes for us, but also to generate more correct code with what we call argument clinic, which is essentially like a C code generator that we have in CPython that allows us to always handle arguments for functions that are written in C correctly.
Well, it's also that we can eliminate this weird file. We have this file. This is kind of weird. Like when I started to contribute to CPython, I had to make a PR. And I was like, looking around to see if I needed to change things. And there is this file in doc called refcounts.txt or something like that.
CSV.
And then you open it and nothing checks this. But like I was too afraid that I was going to mess up, so I added like something there that related to my change, and because nothing checked, that everything was like, yeah, this is good, this is mucho bueno. And to this day, I don't know what that file is for, but like people keep editing it.
It is being manually edited. I think like
the cargo cult of CPython.
I think it's being used by Sphinx to actually just output in the docs, but I don't know if it's used for anything else. No, so okay, so it's only for human reference because CSVs are super humanly readable, right? So
I don't think it's even a CSV.
Okay. Right, so, so that was Peter's idea. Then we moved to Victor, who said, I actually want to make the limited CAPI, so there's multiple versions, and there's the limited that we would like, because it's the most kind of forward-looking. And Victor said, he removed 300 functions in Alpha 1, and then...
He wants maximum chaos.
Yes, so we had to re-add some, but in the end, like I checked, like there's over 260 still removed from the ones that he removed. So only 40 were reverted back because people were really upset about them being removed. So the end goal is actually to remove all CAPI functions. No, not really. But the end goal is to allow CPython internally to change without breaking external users. And for this, the limited CAPI is kind of more nicely designed, doesn't look inside C structs and so on. It's a more kind of thought through API from the ones that we have internally. Obviously, Python is respectfully ignoring the limited CAPI.
They like to smuggle like functions to Python.
Exactly right. All right, so we had this. What was your actually favorite part of the language summit? Because we can go through like piece by piece, but now.
Well, I mean, my favorite part is the one that I talk about my stuff. I did. Well, actually, it's our stuff. This is the new REPL of CPython. This is the best new feature.
Yes, we talked about this in the last episode, and the fun part was that we actually pushed it through in Python 3.13 pre-beta 1. It was like a day before, and immediately Windows users were upset because, first of all, not only didn't it work on Windows, but also
the warning.
It just showed a warning that, like, you're using their bad operating system. Like, no, it just said like PyREPL will not work, and people were upset like, don't show me this warning. If it doesn't work, then just let me be with my old REPL.
It's magical how little time it took for everyone to jump on us and say like nothing works.
They found like plenty of like little bugs which are fun or bigger
My
requests.
favorite one is that if you paste like 1 million lines in the REPL, it takes like 20 seconds or something like that because it uses a quadratic algorithm to paste.
Yeah, so the funny thing is that we took the REPL from PyPy. So on PyPy, because of the JIT, like that slowdown is way smaller.
PyPy.
Yeah, and then we don't have the, kind of, ability to JIT at this point, like for the PyREPL by default. So, yeah.
This is the real reason we're using a JIT compiler, so you can actually paste code into the REPL. So you see, like, when people say, like, oh man, this algorithm is so bad because it's O(n) square. Well, but what if I have a JIT compiler? Now it's not so bad, eh?
So it's like Yuri said in his talk, like it's like, oh man, right? Like the complexity. Exactly right. Okay.
Yeah, but something funny with the REPL happened. So this is what happens, right? Like we were talking about why there is no Windows support, and the real reason is because we are too afraid of Windows, and we don't know anything about that, right? So we as a Spaniard, I dramatize everything because that's what I do. So I was like, oh man, Windows is so hard and it's horrendous, and just to move the cursor, you need to like talk with the kernel. And Dino was there, Dino from Meta. And this is such a nice guy, and he was like, no, he's such a drama queen. And like, this should be much easier. So the secret that he doesn't know is that I nerd snipe him into fixing it. Like he did.
And Dino did. Like, and the best part, he was really like saying, like Pablo said, that it is insane that to move the cursor on Windows in cmd.exe, you have to call the kernel, you have to talk to the kernel, but when you're opening a file, you're also talking to the kernel and nobody panics. So Dino was like...
He also was saying, like, it's not really talking to the kernel. It's like, oh man, just because you need to call a function in a file called Win32 kernel, like, it doesn't mean that it's the kernel. Like, what do you mean?
Right. So in the end, the plan is during the sprints to actually get the Windows support running. So in 3.13, all tier 1 systems are going to be treated as tier 1. So that's actually the perfect solution. Yeah.
You need to harass Dino after the talk so he actually finishes Windows support.
Right. So like there are a few funny kind of side effects of us doing PyREPL with coloring the prompt and whatnot. So when you are in PyREPL and you are invoking PDB, the prompt of PDB is also colored. Like that was not by design. It just happened and we're like, nice.
Wow.
Right, yeah. So that actually moves us to how PDB gets evolved. That was another topic on Language Summit. And it was a little contentious because, obviously, a lot of us want PDB to be improved. There are a lot of low-hanging fruits, actually, right? Like now that we have colors, we want colors. We want some more like context display. We want some customizations for commands that you're issuing to PDB. But there's also more important missing pieces to PDB, like async IO support. And now with free threading support, and the debugger would be amazing, right? And so on and so on.
But what is your favorite bug of the new REPL?
My favorite bug of the new REPL? If you do Control R and then do cursor up, it just closes.
It just blows up.
Yes.
My favorite bug is that somehow we didn't account for like help to call itself. So you like press F1 to it enters help, like the help menu.
Yes.
But you press F1 again, it recursively enters help. So to exit, you need to press exit twice.
Yes.
And then it shows as many prompts as times you enter the help menu.
Yeah. So
maybe we should leave it.
Maybe we should leave this as a as a Easter egg. Right, so with PDB, we want to evolve what we're doing, but to change some of those things and to fix them, we have to make incompatible changes. So we had this long discussion on like whether we should be doing this or not. And kind of every time we did evolve libraries in the standard library, we kind of regretted it, right? Because with async IO, that was what we called them at the time, provisional package. Yeah, so what usually happens is at beta, we are at beta now for Python 3.13, there are no new features anymore, right? We are only fixing bugs. This is already an old Python, we're moving to 3.14. But for provisional packages at the time, we said, that doesn't apply. We can still change things as we go because it's an experimental package. And that was the case of async IO, that was the case of typing, but it caused pain for everybody. So in the end, I think we kind of grew to believe that new things should be evolved on PyPI, and only when they already are mature and have white hair, then move to the standard library.
To die.
What?
You don't get this expression, like, like when people talk about, like, can I get my package in the standard library? And people say, like, when you add something to the standard library, it's just for it to die.
Ah, right, yes, okay.
Right.
Yes, exactly right. Yeah, and if you missed it, like Yuri actually had like a good talk about Memhive, which he also covered at the Language Summit. So a way to share data between subinterpreters without actually serializing and deserializing them with pickling. So that's very hopeful. Like I actually think that this is an excellent candidate to be developed outside of the standard library, but then to be brought in, since that would actually make all of this free threading stuff and subinterpreters click. Like we are really looking forward to this.
It was also a bit of a different talk than the one that he gave, because Yuri, like in the Language Summit, the first slide, it was just a tree. So everyone was really scared about that. So it's like, oh no, a tree on the first slide.
Yeah, there was not a single meme at the Language Summit talk, whereas like the public talk was a little more
We were the meme.
welcoming. Well, yes, exactly. Like because you just assume you know this HAMT, right? Obvious. Well, yeah, we know it's there, but
The talk was also like, look at this data structure. It's very cool. And then like 5 minutes into the talk, it's like, by the way, I'm going to use it to solve this other problem. Like,
but we already have this data structure for context variables where it is important for us to be immutable, but allow mutations, so like new variants of this data structure to be cheaply curated. So, but yeah, that was. I wonder, like, whether Yuri already thought that, like, oh, putting this data structure, it'll be useful later, or it just grew. Like, I don't know. We need to ask him later.
Awesome. But let's talk about 3.13. So what do you think about 3.13?
I'm already bored with this. Like, first of all, it's a boring release, and then, like, it's old. Like, it's beta now, so we already
also all
moved
the
on.
cool stuff in 3.13 is behind a paywall.
Exactly. So first of all, like with the JIT, you need to actually enable it because it's experimental. You will not actually.
Yeah, but
experience
enable it at compilation time, which is is quite annoying for people.
Right.
You need to compile your own Python and whatnot.
Oh, and for us, when we're testing, the difference is that the JIT version compiles like way longer because it actually pre-computes all the copy and patch variants and everything. So like, yeah,
Right.
This is a big difference from our kind of perspective. But then like we will let Brand tell you tomorrow morning like how much faster that JIT is compared to the non-JIT version. And then we have what? Oh, the GIL removed. Yeah.
That's a small
So
thing.
that's again like.
What about the REPL? The REPL is more important.
Yes, but you need to build your own Python to get this. By default, you will not have free threading in Python 3.13, which probably is a good thing because if you don't expect it, it might be a little surprising. And the extensions that you're using, the C extensions, are also going to have to be built with this in mind.
Yeah, there is like a thing that the extension authors need to opt in, I think, in the module object. Like they need to put like a external field to say I'm GIL friendly, which means that nothing is going to work with no GIL in the first round, I think.
So there's two ways. If you have multi-phase initialization, yeah, there's a field, and there's also an API call for all the old C extensions. Because the issue is there is now this new elegant multi-phase initialization that like 10% of C extensions are using. So if we only had this field there, most extensions would have to be adapted to multi-phase init. So it will take forever.
I have a complaint about the name of the API because it's something like PyGIL enable, something like that. I would have preferred to call it YOLO mode.
YOLO mode, yes.
YOLO mode.
Right. So we're here mostly to hear from you too. And we are now at this almost 20-minute mark. So let me have you speak for a bit. Do you have any questions to us? If so, there's 2 mics here, and you might.
Otherwise, we can talk about like small battles that we have in this week.
We're doing this like kind of regularly on the podcast, so it is perfectly fine for us to just keep talking. But if you do have anything that you're interested in,
we have someone.
I was told to ask a softball question, so I'm going to start with that. How do you handle your having such impeccable fashion sense? And also, what was the hardest bug that you fixed in 3.13, and whose fault was it?
Well, I mean, the fashion-related question is very easy because you gave us these T-shirts.
and he thinks he's getting them back.
Right. Yeah. No. Now we are going to have them forever. But I think regarding the bug, I think it was my fault. Actually, I have a cool one. Is the tokenizer one. So someone submitted a bug actually this week. Of changes that we did in from 3.12 to 3.13, that if you try to tokenize a super nested dictionary of like 5,000 dictionaries, one inside the other, it takes forever, like 20 seconds or 30 seconds. But if the same dictionary is written in multiple lines, it takes like one millisecond. And obviously it's my fault because it's the parser, but like...
So do you know why this happens?
I'm a bit embarrassed to explain here in front of all these people. It's very complicated. It's like you need a PhD to understand. It's certainly not that we are reparsing the same line again and again and again for stupid reasons. No, not like that.
I see. Okay.
Whoops. It's the no-GIL thing. Like, you need no-GIL for this thing. It's a very complicated algorithm. I don't know what to tell you. Brand, please help us with your JIT.
Yeah, you need to go and see his talk tomorrow. Yeah, there's, in fact, like, quite a few talks tomorrow that we want to also hit, so you might meet us there as well. So 3.13 is in beta, which means there are installers on the website right now, and you might just go ahead and install them and try them. Beta 1, if you don't have Windows, you might actually see a colored prompt now in PyREPL, and for beta 2, hopefully also on Windows. So, you know, joking aside, we highly recommend you to actually help us test, because this is the perfect moment for us to actually fix things. By the time we reach RC1 and then RC2, like, there are limited things that we might still change. Even if they're bugs, sometimes we might defer them to not the 3.13.0 release, but to later bug fix releases like 3.13.1 and so on.
Can I not fix this bug and call it an Easter egg? Like, does that work?
So like an Easter egg that just makes...
I mean, who's going to parse 5,000 million dictionaries in one line?
So
It's a single line, like, you know.
the person
maybe
who
VS Code
reported it,
crashes.
right? That's the thing. Like, somebody reported it, so
Yeah,
must
because
have
it's a
happened
test
to them.
file. Someone is testing this, like, haha, let's see if it crashes. And it crashes.
Well, a lot of
Congratulations.
a lot of those weird cases are in fact like real code from corporations that will never admit they're doing this.
Like what? Putting 5,000 dictionaries in a single line?
So at the time,
What is the next thing? GPU computed dictionaries? Like,
at the time where I worked for Meta, like configuration there was kept in Python files, so there were plenty.
in one line. Meta people.
No, like it wasn't in one file, but it was like formatted somehow, and then you know I happened to write a formatter, so I was like, okay, let's adopt it, and I found plenty of accidental quadratic behavior because you know the files there were big enough. You'd think like, who would write like a 20 megabyte Python file? Like,
Right, Meta.
yeah, yes. Right.
I think we have another question, maybe.
Yeah, if Python goes to a numbering system like the Python 25 for the year 2025, don't you have a problem in the year 2100?
I don't know, Hugo, what do you think?
100. Oh, he's saying 100, but I wanted to say that's my son's problem now. I guess. it's funny because it's true. If I live to 2100, wow, this is gonna be a party. I actually like my plan for now is to just see the Halley's Comet come in 2061. That's gonna be amazing. I don't have any plans like later than that.
You know, maybe by the time we have ended tokenizing that dictionary.
Right, like PyREPL is gonna be finished by then for sure.
Yeah. Dino, help us.
Right. Okay. There's another question here. Wow.
Subinterpreters or free threading? Wait. 1, 2, 3, and you say what you think. 1, 2, 3.
Free threading. Whoa.
We don't need you. We have our own applause.
Well, I sort of expected him to say subinterpreters, and it would be like
Really?
a little conflict.
Oh, just because I'm like maximum chaos or something like that?
Yeah.
What about both?
What
¿Por
about?
qué no los dos?
Okay. We do have both now, actually, right? Yes.
Right.
So the Core.Py podcast is really interesting looking at developing the language of Python. Where should people go if they enjoyed that podcast and want more insight and different look to further that experience? And who should listen to Core.Py?
Oh, it's called github.com/python/cpython. There's honestly, we don't really have like great like editorial stuff like that is text-based or so. There's some third-party content that we do enjoy, like Real Python and so on. But for us internally, we don't really write much about the current proceedings. It was actually the entire idea for the podcast to kind of address this. That kind of people are very excited to see what's new in Python 3.13 after it already happened. But as it is baking, there was not much information about like what we're doing as it is being done. So yeah, so that's the podcast. And then the repository and the issue tracker is a tool for us. So we really try to keep it kind of readable at least in the sense that you can see what the PRs are doing and what the issues are doing. So for stuff that is super new because it's being developed, there's not going to be much in terms of blog posts and videos and stuff like that. So
well, the other reason we started the podcast is because so many people have this idea of the core developers as these mega programmers, but we are all jokers. Like, and it's very it's very important that people know the truth.
no, like also what I wanted to see is kind of how many names do you know from the core developer team, right? There's maybe going to be 3 or maybe 5, but there's plenty of people who do like awesome work like day to day, and we celebrate them with like the PR of the week, what's happening in CPython. We're just saying like this change was lingering for 9 years and somebody stepped up and did it. Like not just core developers, like members of the community come and publish PR. So we want this work to be highlighted. All right, I don't know which one comes next. Let's say, okay.
Do you expect distros to provide packages with free threading or with the data-enabled filter 13?
I think Ubuntu is providing it, or Dead Snake for sure. I think Anthony is no. Anthony, one of the two Anthonys.
Dead
right?
Snake. So Anthony Soda.
Yeah, one of them made actually a change in the Snake to provide the. I don't know how. I mean, I'm in the steering council, so I'm embarrassed to say that I don't remember correctly. But how do we call the binary? Python T
T.
from threaded.
Yes, T for threading.
Yeah, so Python.
I do expect that Anaconda will also build like an experimental version. They promised, so that's my expectation that they will start doing this. Like that would be very.
You promise.
Yes, that would be very helpful for us. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So I enjoy all your presentations of the various language parts at the beginning of the podcast. Are you worried that you're going to run out of topics, or is that going to be like kind of like encouragement to keep adding new features to the language so you have to
I think I can make enough bugs between 3.13 and 3.14 to feel like the entire year.
So and the interesting bit is this. When I started as the developer in residence, there were plenty of ideas, like what should Łukasz do? And one of the ideas I had was like, I'm going to bring the number of open PRs down. So I spent like this entire month just like working like crazy, like doing between 50 to 100 like PR reviews. And after this, I noticed that the number is like 10 less than it was before because new ones just kept appearing. And then I had like a week not doing this, and the number was back by 100. So I just like said like, no, this is impossible. I have to do like a bunch of things and sort of balance this work. But now that there's 3 of us with Petr Viktorin and with Serhii Storchaka, the number is actually going down. So there's plenty of open PRs, which is already in theory code that we could just land, right? So we have a lot of kind of work to be done with this, and then like 5 times the open issues that we have. So yeah, even if we froze features, there's plenty of things to do.
Well, and if only someone decided to remove a build lock in CPython to give out everybody new work, that will help quite a lot the podcast.
Right, but the thing is, we were actually talking about like we are having some very kind of basic topics, and what if we run out of them? But the changes that we have in CPython are kind of continuous. So even if you still talk about the garbage collector again, the garbage collector just very
Mark
recently.
Shannon will change the garbage collector enough times.
Exactly,
that we will keep talking about
it just changed, very recently, so we can talk about it again because it is new now. So yeah, like I don't think we're going to be running out of content now.
Awesome. I think we're set, right?
Yes, we are at time, and in fact, this is the place where the PyLadies auction is going to happen in like an hour and 15 minutes. So we were asked to actually finish on time. So the only thing that we should do now is just to play the outro tune. Was that? Lightning Talks.
There is lightning talks now. Actually, I have one, so I should keep going.
Oh, so there's also lightning talks, but in this particular room, so lightning talks are in the plenary, right? And here, there's going to be PyLadies auction in an hour. And so yeah, so they need to make this room ready.
Well, thank you everyone for attending. Also, thank you to the sound engineers for helping us.
All right, and find us on the podcast. See you again.